Welcome back to the Lions H3art Podcast. I am your host, Tawan Spencer, and today we're going to be focusing on another aspect of mental and emotional navigation for men. Today, I got a very special guest with me. You're probably going to hear me say special guest, but this one is different. This is actually my cousin, so I know him from just living life and also watching him mature into a man. We're going to talk a lot about the books that he got that's enlightening youth on tech and all the different things that come with it. We're going to talk about life, marriage, and just manhood and what it represents. So I'm glad y'all are here. I'm excited about what it's going to be. Lions H3art Podcast, Season 1, Episode 5. Let's get into it.
Like we define it fair, yeah. I know you needed me to be better. Supposed to be raised off of love, but survival.
Once you have a conversation with somebody and you introduce them to a different reality, the mentality changes.
Now look, I cried when I wrote this song, cause I feel I do right, just to right my wrongs.
Mr. Smith, go ahead and introduce yourself. Say what's up to the people. Talk to them for a second. Do your thing, cuzzo.
What's going on? Like you said, I'm Darquez Smith, aka Q the God. I've been working in tech for the last 15 years. I have a Bachelor of Science in Information Systems. And over the years, I've been battling with getting certified because I'm just that good at what I do. And eventually became certified with Microsoft in their cloud environment. I had the MS900, and tomorrow I had the SC900. So basically, yeah, I have my credentials in tech in the cloud environment. I've been doing that for 15 years. I have 6 kids, and I see how tech is impacting them. And I also realized how tech impacted me as a kid. So I created a book series to pretty much bring the average kid up to speed. Because the average kid just know I get on my iPad and I like to watch YouTube or I like to play Roblox. So what my books do is take you beyond that and let you know there's a whole world of tech, there's a whole world of opportunities. And then I have the TikTok, DJ's World of TinyTechs. And same thing for YouTube.
Welcome to DJ's World of TinyTechs, a fun and educational book series created by author and tech expert Darquez Smith. Follow DJ as he explores exciting adventures in the world of coding, robotics, and technology, all written for the curious young minds in your life. With every book, your kid will discover new tech concepts, solve fun challenges, and spark their overall creativity. Grab your copy of DJ's World of TinyTechs, available online with Amazon right now, and inspire the next generation of innovators.
You started to talk about children and how you noticed these different things just growing up and learning about tech. What are some of the challenges to get that integrated and just a normal understanding of technology for youth in general? What are some of the challenges you ran into while you're trying to focus on just raising awareness of the things that come with this field?
I give advice a lot, right?
Okay.
And I realize I don't give the mindset. So a lot of this boils down to the mindset, right? And what do I mean by that? I'm going to break it down from when I was a kid, right? All right, so when I was a kid, I had a certain mindset, meaning that whatever I wanted to do, I focus on it and figure out the best way to do it, right? So I started off at 8 years old writing poetry, writing movie synopses, writing plays. And of course, it's between 8 and 12, right? So I said, hey, I don't like sitting up here writing this all the time. How can I do this better? Taught myself how to type. Now I'm on the computer typing. Fast forward, I get introduced to music through my aunt, my Auntie Tammy, on my mom's side. She like, hey, you know, you can be just like Bow Wow and Romeo. You can turn your poems into music. I'm not really seeing the vision, so I'm like, all right, let me at least try it. So I go from, long story short, I go from spending hours and hours of writing, and I'm like, okay, how can I put this on tape? How can I put this on the radio? Let me do research on the computer. I go get a tape recorder, and I start waiting till songs come on the radio, record the ending of the beat, and just rap on the ending of the beat. The ending of a beat could be 30 to 45 seconds.
Yep.
I'm a youngin' making 30 to 40 second songs. That transitioned into, all right, man, I don't like this. So I'm like, how can I get beats? LimeWire. I learned how to download beats on LimeWire. So I'm like, okay.
LimeWire, I ain't heard that name in a minute.
Right. So basically what I'm saying is, I can't compare myself to the youngest now, right? Because back then I didn't have the parent to structure and guide me through it. I pretty much had to figure it out along the way. So when I look at my kids, I see how creative she is. I see how creative he is. Let me let her know, like, the very thing that you're doing now, you could do that on a computer and expand it and monetize it. So my oldest daughter, she like making squishies, right? So first thing that she come up in her mind and do it in the physical, right? So my first thought was, all right, let me teach her what this whole reality thing, that means that what you're doing right now, which is one of my books, The Imagination, your imagination is your key to everything. So you imagine the squishy, then you brought it into the physical. So I'm like, get on the computer, research the best way possible to make squishies. She did that, right? I'm looking at that like, oh, she remind me, like, I wish I had this type of parent when I was a kid. Because she fell in love with it, like, oh, Dad, I learned how to, like, I was jokingly saying, like, make me a taco. She excitedly telling me, like, oh, Dad, look at this. I researched on YouTube and I learned how to make a taco squishy. She's technically ready because she know how to take direction. Didn't have that. I'm about to focus on the next generation, i.e. the kids, right? Now, she know how to draw through apps. She create through apps. And then I said, oh, let me do this with my younger kids. So I did that with my next younger daughter. I see a lot of me and her. So I'm like, hey, you know how to catch on to things. You need to learn how to type. So she's learning how to type now. She's know how to type very well. Then my next younger daughter, I'm like, you like to draw. So you need to learn how to do this on these different apps on your iPad. Don't focus on just doing this on the paper. Figure out how to do this incorporating technology. Most parents aren't involved as like, this sounds harsh. It sounds very harsh, but you'll learn throughout the conversation. The way I enforce my vision through my child's parents, I need them to be smart, I need them to be healthy. Those are the standards. So I'm like, every kid don't have that father enforcement. So let me put something out there to at least bring some type of awareness. So that's why I came up to the books, because I realized that most Americans, trickle down to most Black Americans, don't have a male figure to go, hey, I need them to learn how to do what they naturally know how to do through technology, because that's where the world is going. I'm thriving because I learned how to adjust. So instead of judging people, let me put out books. So that's where my books came from. I put out books to go for the people that have a dad, but they also aren't as tech savvy, or for the families that don't have a male presence. Let me put something in front of them to go, hey, I need my kid to adjust to this world and be productive and also be intelligent about how they go about their natural abilities in a technical way. So that's how I came up with the books.
Let me ask you this, because you said a couple of things in there that were interesting. One of that came to my mind, the understanding of technology versus the access to it. What do you feel is one of the key things that allows those connections to be different? And what I mean is, the kids walk around with cell phones all day. And we know these cell phones is entirely different than what we used to have when we were younger. They doing way more. They got way more access. I tell these kids all the time, y'all using Star Trek devices. This is stuff we used to watch on TV and imagine able to do the stuff with that y'all normalize, but they have access.
You hear what you just said?
What's that?
Just said, imagine. We was forced to use our imagination. I literally just went over this with my daughter today.
Yeah.
We literally today, I realized that the difference between a multitude of things. Kids aren't being forced to use their imagination, which is why I wrote the imagination book. That's part of the series, right? You gotta force your kids to use their imagination, period. You only can watch TV Saturday and Sunday for 2 hours in 30-minute increments. Because at first I was like, it's the weekend, and my wife was like, I still don't want her sitting there for 2 hours straight. So I'm like, you're right. The way families are structured today, it doesn't give them the availability or capacity to structure their kids' life like that, because we have families to where either there's no masculine direction, or if there is a father around, both parents work. So there's nobody there to pay attention to the kid. I know what's going on with my kid because my wife don't work. Her focus is our family and our kids. So that allows her to come to me and say things. And that allows me to be the leader to go, Oh no, I don't like that. We got to take away that iPad all week. It's not happening. Same thing with my other kids. They still respect my vision for the kids, and that's to be the smartest and the healthiest, right? So with that being said, if there's no male figure to set the bar or the standard, it won't happen. And that, like I said, that might be offensive. Like, what the do you mean? I do well. I this, I that as a single mom. And I'm not knocking single moms, but you got to be a male there to set the standard. They need to be the best version, no matter what. To create the type of person I am or high functional person I am, use both sides of your brain. Because all this draws back into what I know as human functionality. I know exactly how a human is supposed to function, and I know what that takes to do that, right? So it all starts as a kid. In order to be somebody that works on a high level in tech or whatever field, it all starts as a kid, and it all starts with learning how to use both sides of the brain. Less time on technology, more time on being creative, more time on being a kid like we were forced to do. We were forced to go outside, and we were forced, what you mean you bored? Figure it out type of joint. Yeah. So when I look at society, when I look at my kids, all 6 of them are rated well above their peers, and I go, this is why. And I'm not judging other kids. It's going, okay, this is why they're not. I'm going off data and statistics and impact. And I go, okay, these kids aren't performing well because no one is implementing strict standards. It's going, I'm tired. I just got off of work. Don't bother me for the next couple hours. All right, dinner ready. And then after dinner is done, go to sleep. So what point in this day have you directed this kid? If you worked all day, they was in daycare or school all day, and what point did this kid have any direction? Which means they get to be on TikTok, they get to be on YouTube, they get to be on the phone with their friends with no guidance and no direction. Which means they're not even thinking about how can I benefit from this phone. Like I just told you, when I tell my daughters, you like drawing, how can you use your iPad to maximize that? Nobody is there to tell them.
Before we got to recording, we talked about the neuroscience, how brains develop and they function and environments. And
I'm into that heavy.
And different, man, listen, that's why I feel like it's going to be some other parts to our conversations. But what I wanted to ask you, you mentioned your wife and creativity. Now, I've had interesting conversations with other men, and I want to hear your point on this. What do you think is getting in the way of men allowing themselves to believe creativity is important in regards to selecting a wife, raising their children, and how they maximize career opportunities? How can utilization of creativity help boost those areas? I got some questions, bro. I'm telling you, I'll be
okay. Yeah. Like I prefaced before, I can say some things that's very offensive. So I will say when it comes to men, like I'm the highest accountability partner for men, right? So when it comes to creativity and women and picking the right partner, you got to understand. One, you got to understand reality, right? Reality is divided into these 7 principles or rules, right? And the 2 most important is polarity and gender. Right?
Oh, teach.
And people think man and woman when it comes to that. Like, no, polarity and gender encompasses all of us in every aspect. Meaning that as a man, I got to know when to make a creative decision. What does creative mean? Right brain. What does right brain mean? The feminine side of the brain. Meaning, when you're a man, you know how to, all right, I'm not going to let my ego take over right now. Or I'm not going to get in my feelings right now. Or I'm going to be more strategic on how I'm going to talk to her or this situation. That's all feminine stuff. And people look at femininity and creativity as like some old taboo things for men when it's not, bro. Like, we supposed to know how to direct. This is why men is held to such a high standard. So I know how to direct creativity and all that because I understand reality, I understand human, and I understand our nature. I understand that everything is based on these 7 principles. And the 2 most important is polarity and gender, which means I need to know how to separate things and act accordingly. That's the neurological aspect to it. I also know that women are more in tune with intuition, aka their spiritual side. So I know that, okay, I need my wife or their moms to understand that my kids need to be very creative. And they need to be able to be creative. And I need to bring in the masculine aspect. The masculine aspect is the technical. How can the kids incorporate their creativity with the technical aspect? That's the masculine joint. So I know that, okay, they're going to make sure they color and things look pretty and use your imagination in the most full capacity. I bring it down to like, hey, just let's not let your imagination drive you overboard. Let's still bring it down to a point to where you can be creative but also strategic, creative but also logic. So
hold on, brother. Let me stop you right there real quick. So that part right there, that part that you just said, how does a man who has not had access to that level of control, that level of guidance, incorporate that now that he has a child? He got a child, but he ain't never seen that. What advice would you give to that man if he was listening right now?
I tend to do that. I tend to think from a perspective as if people come from the similar mindset. So I apologize, right? So I was never taught none of this. I'm an observer of life. I learned that I chose to be here to observe life to its fully, right? So I done this as a young kid. So I'm gonna step aside of that. So for someone that's not an observer of life, someone that just became a father, I would say become an observer of life. Meaning pay attention to everything. But then you go accordingly. Because you might not be the type of person that even can encompass these type of standards.
You might not have the capacity for that.
You might not. Because women, like I said, they are very intuitive and they'll pick up on that. If you're a guy that's trying to set certain standards and you don't have those standards for yourself, she's going to chew you up. And you might be thinking, I don't want to be with a woman that's like, no. Whether a woman is very soft-spoken and feminine or whether she's very assertive and aggressive, they're going to find ways to give you a reality check. This is all women do anyways, give you a reality check. So what I'm saying is, bro, get yourself together all the way. Mentally, physically, emotionally. Then you dictate what you need for your kids. That way, no one can question what's going on. And that might sound crazy. So I got to have my shit together in order to have a say. Yes, you got to have your shit together in order to have a say-so in your kid's life. How can I direct you and I'm not directing myself? So direct yourself first. Become a leader of self first and then direct your kids.
You know what I think? And I appreciate that answer. And the only reason I ask, you're going to hear me ask these questions. Me and you on the same page with a lot of these different points. But I ask because I know that there's some people who have these questions, but they're afraid to ask them because they might feel like they need to be away, look away, or, you know, society has an interesting viewpoint on what manhood looks like. And when people feel like they don't fit whatever that status quo of masculinity is in a moment, they have these questions, but they don't ask them. Let me ask you about that. What do you feel about all of these arguments and how these things have happened and their impact on relationships and, more importantly, to the next topic, marriage? What do you feel these gender wars impact has been on relationships and marriage as a whole?
I didn't know nothing about the whole gender war things until 2020, right? The reason why I say that, like I said before, I'm in my own world and I have a view of how a man should be based on just, like I said, I'm an observer, paying attention, right? So what I'm about to say, this might sound crazy without going too far. I believe men should be observers and pay attention to what's going on. The reason why before 2020, I didn't know about these, like I didn't have a standard list. Like I told my wife, I don't have a woman should a woman should this. I know in order for you to be with me, we got to align based on who I am. Period. And what that means, if my woman isn't being what I need her to be, she's not my woman. She's not a bad woman. Because I'm not into calling women bad women. I look at it like, that's not my woman. She don't agree with how I think. She don't want to abide to how I want to move. She don't want to be a part of my vision. That's not my woman. But outside of that, I try to make sure I'm the best man possible. Meaning that you can't say I'm fat, I'm working out. You can't say I'm dumb, I'm smart. You can't say I'm argumentative because I'm trying to work out solution based. I'm like going down all the tracks that a woman can ever use against me. And to me, that takes about like 2.5, 3 years. So once we get to that 2.5 years, it ain't right. And to some people, they're like, bro, why waste? I look at time differently, bro. We've been existing for 1 million years. So 2.5 years ain't shit. So I just look at it as like the first year, honeymoon phase. We're going to love each other for whatever. Then that second year, everything get exposed and let me know whether I need to go or not. So I say that to say, as a man, make sure your shit right before you even meet a woman. And if you get with her and you realize things aren't lining up, look at yourself. Why am I accepting this? All right. Why am I accepting this?
I like that.
She not a bad woman. And I would tell her like, hey, you're not a bad woman. You actually a good woman. For whoever else you're a good woman for. You just not my woman, baby. So so that's how I look at it.
Why do you think men are afraid of that though? Like
they don't get themselves right first.
Why? Why do you think a man will know these things? Let's say he know. Let's say he's done some of these work. Let's say he listening to us speak and he like, yeah, I done check this off. I check this off. I've equated value to the way I think, to how I take care of my body, to my finances. I feel like I'm a good guy. But now I'm with this woman, and it's not working with this woman. I don't feel she respects me, my vision, and I'm sticking around. What is you saying to buddy? What you saying to him?
I'm saying that if you holding on because of kids, leave so you can create a healthy situation, because that's what I did. And 2, if you got your together, let's say you don't have kids and you just like, man, whatever. From what I've seen, like I said, I like to speak in generalities. What I see is most of these guys need something from these women, whether it's a place to stay or whether it's an emotional balance. And I'm not going to attack nobody's financial status. So I'm going to just say, for the most part, it's an emotional balance, meaning that my mom was inadequate here, so I'm going to force you to be that adequacy for me. Or I got used to my mom talking to me this way, or my aunt, or my grandma, whoever, so I'm going to allow it, because that's what I'm used to. Like, that's how women talk. So it's that guy. And what I'm saying is, bro, focus on how you feel. If you feel in your mind and heart that don't feel right, I don't give a fuck if your mama talk that way. I don't care if your aunt talk that way. I don't care if every woman you ever seen operate in a way that make you feel contrary to that. Walk away. Now, if you a guy where you wake up and you cool with arguing every day, or you cool with feeling uncomfortable, go for it. I'm not here to tell you. I'm talking to the guy that's like, hey, bro, I ain't feeling this, and I don't know how to walk away. I get it. The poom poom might be good, and that all says like, bro, you need to heighten your self-awareness.
Yeah.
A guy that's falling for the poom poom is good. He's not self-aware. So become very self-aware. Attach all your traumas, meaning that don't mean like overnight you can be like, hey, I'm Buddha and I got over all my traumas. I'm saying remove them. Let me step outside of that and go, I don't feel this shit. Like, I don't like waking up and I got to be to work about 8:30, but I'm arguing at 6:30. Or I don't like how I got to continuously ask to have sex and she just giving me every excuse in the book to not do it. Let me just walk away. Basically, the woman you with, you supposed to feel like, for the lack of, I don't say the lack of because I know other terms, but just to be relatable, I want to feel like I'm that every morning I wake up, regardless, whether she here or not. That's what I mean. I'm that whether she here or not. And on top of it, we gonna solidify that she that woman and I'm that. If you don't look at her as that woman and you that, you gotta go. Because most men don't look at their woman like, oh, she it. Most guys don't do that. So if you don't look at it like she it, and you don't look at the most important, because you can work until, and that's another thing too. When you really that guy and you really in tune with yourself, you can work a woman to being that it. Like, oh, she ain't it right now, but I got a little work. So that's why I don't really go in depth into like really fixing women, because women only gonna be what the man allow. Women only gonna be what the man lead. Period. And it's for you as a man to get yourself right mentally and emotionally. To go, that ain't my woman. She ain't aligning to what I want. I gotta go. So to the guy that's watching, if she don't align to what you want and you don't feel comfortable and you constantly feel like you ain't that ain't your woman. She ain't a bad woman. Don't bash her. Wake up and go, hey, sweetie, I love you. I respect you. Actually a great woman. And I would say downplay yourself in that situation. I just feel like I'm not good enough for you. In your mind, you know, I don't want to up her ego. I don't want to strike any tension. Most women right now work off ego. I'm going to stroke her ego so I can get the away peacefully. Because most women, you ain't getting away peacefully if you come at them the wrong way. If you come on some like, I feel like I'm better than this and I deserve more, she going to tear your ass down and you're going to come right back into it. I'm saying take the high road. Hey, you're a great woman. I love you. But I just feel like you'll do better without me. In your mind, you know, it's for your betterment. Like, I got to move on.
I would say to the fellas that heard all of the points that he's laid out, I would also say this. Remember, it's a verse that came to my mind, and I've applied it to my walk as a man. And it's, the blind leading the blind shall surely fall into a ditch. I don't tell people what to believe in, but one of the things that I do like about the Bible is some quotes in there that I just find incredibly dope to live by as an individual. You can't take somebody somewhere without knowing where you're going first. It's impossible to try to create a dynamic, especially when it comes to shaping a household. And I think this is something, and it's a lot of different variables as to why men, women, or families in general, especially in the black community, might struggle with understanding some of these things. But I say to men, one of the biggest things that you're going to figure out is the direction you have, and it'll influence the women that you allow in your space. It'll influence the business partnerships you make. It'll influence the career paths that you take, because you understand where you're going. A lot of us are getting in spaces hoping people help point us in a direction, and that's why you lost. That's why your woman is able to talk to you like you nothing, because you haven't figured out yet that you're something. You waiting on situations or people to make you feel like you're valuable. And here's the thing. You can't give nobody that much power. You can't give nobody that much power, because people change, man, like the wind, and they blow. So what I'm saying is, plant your flag to who you are, to who you represent within yourself first, and then watch everything that comes into your sphere, everything that you allow as part of your growth in your story. Check this out. We'll have no choice but to be a reflection of that. The woman that's talking to you crazy won't work, because you've already embraced, I'm not letting nobody talk to me crazy. Everything comes with purpose. So I think even when you were talking like, hey, you got to be able to take the high road, it's going to be hard for you to take the high road if you've always navigated low frequencies. Taking the high road is going to sound crazy to you. It's going to sound crazy. I got to let them know. You don't. You don't got to let nobody know anything. You can let them think whatever it is they want to think. And I always tell men, be the man that got away. Don't argue. Just be the man that got away. Because most of the time, they get to see you still doing the things that you said you were going to do, with or without them. And it's never to take shots at them. It's never to make them feel no type of way. You just been locked in. You've been locked in. Why are you still having conversations with somebody that you can go tell them off the top? So stop being worried about, especially this, and this is key. Your masculinity, your manhood cannot be as effective as them liking you off of decisions that you made. Because if you're validating what you're doing as a father, as a husband, as a son, based off of the mood of the people around you, You're going to be fluctuating up and down in how you feel. What I would tell you to pay attention to, in fact, is the productivity of the people that's around you. The stuff we talking about is higher level thinking.
Right.
My woman ain't gonna always be happy with something I tell her, but she'll always be safe. That is my she'll always be safe. I'm okay with not being liked because I understand that's not my position to do that. My woman she's the cuddly one. She's the one everybody want to talk to. Everybody's attracted to her beauty. That's her thing. I'm not really into that. But when those people come up, when the family is sitting down, it's my job to make sure they're safe and that they have a direction. I even tell women when I mentor them, don't get with the dude that love you, get with the dude who got a plan for you. And that's the difference. You with somebody who love you. And then once they stop feeling that way, you lost. I don't have to do anything because we've already talked about what it is we gonna do. So when she getting so upset that she don't want to do that, I'm not deviating from the plan and I'm not gonna argue with you. You know this is what we doing. So it gives me less stress. I'm not trying to validate my manhood. It's a lot of people that come to work every day and clock in, but they don't get anything done. They're there all the time. You are in relationships with individuals that are reflecting your lack, and you're wondering why you're not getting to where you got to go to.
That's why I said, make sure you the highest version of yourself, and then you'll know whether that's your woman or not. Don't bash her. Don't say you was horrible and you accepted a woman that was on your mental and personal level. To me, there ain't such thing as a bad woman. To me.
I don't think so.
I feel like there's a woman for every level. Yep. And I'm just not on your level. There's a lot of on that level. I ain't there. Yep. Yep. My younger years, I ain't gonna lie. I used to think like, man, she tweaking. But I'm like, no, I'm tweaking. I allowed this. I'm the leader. My woman only gonna be on the level that I direct her to. If I'm with a woman that's toxic, combative, that means I'm out of line somewhere. I focus on who I want to be. Yeah, when I look in the past, I did probably have some people that people be like, hey, no, you shouldn't have been with her. But I'm looking back like, yeah, I probably said that too back then. But now I'm grown, I'm 35, and I'm like, ain't such thing as a bad woman because men are supposed to be leaders. Men take the load. Men take the accountability. Women basically don't take accountability nowhere. And if she does, she's a strong woman.
Brother, you got you a superhero. If it don't work out, you might need to still be cool.
We both going out here checking these tires. And I'm not judging that.
Yeah.
I'm not judging that. But I'm saying that it's very rare for women to be accountable. So as a man, we got to be that off rip. Which means whatever the woman I'm with is based on a level I'm settling for or I'm in at the time I meet her. So if I'm not intelligent enough to let her go, that's my fault.
So fellas, it's not, and I want to be clear, because I can almost hear the, oh man, but y'all tripping. What if she doing? Nobody's saying that the BS that she might be doing is
Get
okay.
away.
Nobody's saying that. What we're saying to you is, if it's BS and you as the leader have recognized that it's BS and you keep on playing in dookie, it's your fault. That's all we said. That's all we said. And that's all I'm saying, man. All I'm saying is it get to a point. And listen, here's the other thing, and I want to speak to the emotional capacities in men. But to me, when I look at a man and his woman, I look at that woman and I say, whatever she is, that man is okay with it. Whatever she is, that man is okay with it. Because if this is going to be your life partner, if you say for the rest of your life, this is where you're going to be at, dating, marriage, whatever floats your boat, if that's where you at, and this woman is toxic, disrespectful, uncaring, she puts you in this place, you cannot tell me that you value yourself. I don't care what comes out your mouth. I don't care what you've done. And it is a very real thing. When men get around other men, how their women deal with that man matters. I will not do, and I'm telling y'all now, I don't put everybody in my business. I don't talk about everything that I got coming. But there are some opportunities with nonprofits that, as the founder of Lion-Hearted and the things that come with that, I refuse to align myself with because I've watched how the relationship between man and wife. I've watched how they've treated each other. And if you don't respect her and she don't respect you, there is no way we're going to do successful and healthy business.
Oh, no, it goes further than that, right? as operating and trying to strive to better or higher levels of life, on a higher epsilon, like you said, does judge how your like I posted that. To get to certain levels of life, first people look, is he married? Or does he have a family dynamic? Because that opens up a whole level of expectations. When you're married and when you have a respectful wife, I learned that the hard way. I lost the job because I was with the wrong woman, calling up and doing things that she shouldn't have been doing at a job. And that made me realize, like, oh, they really do care. Because it's one thing to be, I don't like pulling the race card. I see drama between white people a lot in professional, right? Okay. But it's different when you black and you got a little drama going on. Even though at the time the person I was with caught up to the job, they weren't really on some like real live drama. They just distasteful, right? Where I seen white coworkers do way worse. So as a black man, it's kind of like, bro, you don't even got no. Because I hate pulling the race. I don't operate off the whole white black. That's a whole nother joint. Yep. So I say that to say, I realized that people really judge you off the woman you have, especially when you black. And I don't like pulling the race joint.
No, but it's real.
But it's real. Mm-hmm. When a man talk high, they don't even have to meet your wife. When you talk highly of your family and your wife and your kids, it opens up another level of opportunities. And you might be thinking, yeah, but I want my own business. Like, yeah, that's in business too. It's not just jobs.
I was just about to say.
It's even more in business. No, how can I trust you if you don't even trust the woman you lay down with?
You don't even trust the woman that you lay down with. And I was about to say, that is your first business. That's your first business. That's your first ministry. That's your first spiritual.
Warren Buffett said it perfectly. The first and best decision you can make is the woman you with.
Hey there, listeners. Are you ready to unleash your inner lion and embark on a transformative journey? Let me introduce you to the Lions H3art Mental and Emotional Navigation by me, Tawan Spencer. This isn't just a book. It's a 31-day guide crafted to help men set daily goals and incorporate mindfulness, social, emotional, spiritual, and wellness practices into their daily lives. Each day offers practical steps to strengthen your mental resilience, enhance your emotional intelligence, deepen your spiritual connection, and improve your overall wellness. Imagine transforming your life, becoming the best version of you, and truly embodying the heart of a lion. Are you ready to take that first step? The Lions H3art is available now, yes, right now on Amazon. Don't just read, ignite a movement within yourself.
Period. You're not about to embarrass me, baby. You got to get going.
No, that's why I mean that when I say that. I don't know how it gets to a point where it's like just normal disrespect, short of the man allowing it. And I think, and like you said, man, I think some of us get it a little quicker than others. I know some men that have been in some bad situations and then they learn that. I know some men that just were taught that when they were younger.
Yeah, I've been in bad situations. I wasn't taught.
Because like you said, some of us, we got assertive moms and aunts and grandmothers who speak a certain type of way. And you get it. You can look at some of the women just culturally and how they navigate, and you'll see the reflection of being raised in certain environments. Mm-hmm. But I always tell, at the end of the day, and all deep stuff aside, I control what's normalized in this world. In this world of Tawan Spencer, it's a certain thing that could come inside and what can't. And ain't no compromising with anything that disrupts, not even peace, because it is what it is. I got a problem with anything that disrupt the mission. And if it's a woman that's disrupting the mission, you know what I'm saying? So when I'm looking at a woman, it's like I have a plan and a vision. Mm-hmm. Do she help make that happen? And if the answer is no, again, you got to be comfortable being by yourself, bro. And I think it's a lot of us that every time I see you, you got a different shorty. Every time I see you, you dating somebody different. And you think it's a different person, but it's really the same spirit, but it's different people. Because you keep ending up with loud, aggressive women, and you don't know why it's happening. But ain't nobody else around you struggling with that. Ain't nobody else struggling with that. Those type of environments, and this is why I talked about the mission earlier, they bother me because they take away from your ability to function the way that you need to. And if you really a business person, I say look at it like an investment as well. If I'm with a woman that's constantly bothering me, frustrating, nagging, yelling, whatever the situation may be, bro, you think you about to high level anything when that's your normal? You wake up to that, you go to sleep to that, you build with that. You're gonna be a reflection of what you got going on. So when he's mentioning that, hey, this starts to look like what you allow and what you do, it's because what man that's in alignment with his purpose and his plan is accepting a woman that's disrespecting him and essentially pulling him away from what he's trying to do in the first place. That's not a man I want to do business with. That's not a man I want to build with. That's not a man that I feel like you should trust.
So that's why I mentioned that the most men that reach the high levels of life are married or a committed man, right? The reason why I say that, it gives you a higher sense of obtainability outside of yourself. Yeah, as men, we know we just need the bare minimum. I'm cool with living in a $1,000 joint by myself, chilling. But when you have a family or when you have a woman that you have to look after, right, that creates a certain mindset. If you want to be able to provide for yourself and your woman and your family, you need total mental capacity. That's why I said that I failed most people. I give advice on the technical part. When I give tech advice, I don't tell them the full picture. I'm able to do things because I have total peace. I don't have a woman that's in my ear. I don't have a woman that's stressing me out, right? I'm good on all fronts with my woman. And it's not because of who she is. It's because who I am. Meaning that she can say, hey, I'm gone tomorrow. And another person come in. That means that I know exactly what I need for my life, and I know what exactly I need to operate to be high functioning. All right, DQ, what do that mean? That means I need the clearest mindset. I need the clearest brain. That means that I need to operate at my highest self. All right, what they got to do with women? That means the woman I'm with gonna make sure I eat a certain way if I say that's how I want to eat, which means she's not gonna stress me out in certain ways. If I don't want to talk about that, and I say, hey, I don't want to talk about that right now. I'm in the middle of working. She's gonna go, all right. That's why I say I offend people. Most modern women would go, no, you need to hear this. It's like when you a respective man, like, no, he don't want to hear that right now. So that's how I operate. I don't want to hear that right now. And I don't say it in a disrespectful way like that. It's like, all right, I'm working right now. Could we talk about that later? And she'll go, all right, you right, my bad, type of joint. So it's basically becoming your highest self as a man, and the only way you can demand these type of respects with anybody, whether it was a job, whether it's your woman, and women pay attention to how you carry yourself with other men. It's like, hey, man, you let him do that or her do that, so she like, hey, I'm going to do the same joint, or why you let them? So it's like, hey, man, heighten yourself to a point where you got a standard and a threshold, and it's like, I need ultimate peace. If I'm going to provide and make the money that I need to make for us, even if it's 50-50, in order to provide my 50% of this joint, I need pure mental clarity. I need pure emotional clarity. I need to be able to guide and lead us, and I need you to understand that you need to put whatever you think and feel aside when I say it's time to not do that. And that sounds crazy. It sounds crazy to most. Like, what you mean? So she can't? No, I'm not saying she can't express herself. I'm saying right now ain't the time for that. I'm in the middle of working, or I just got off work and I need time to debrief. So we can talk about that later. And what that does is she's thinking in 1,000, women. Yeah. She's thinking more, and by the time we talk, she's not loud. She's not talking. And on top of it, I'm not on edge. I done chilled off from work. So let's really talk about what's really going on. Because I'm not saying like you that man and you work yourself up and it's just going to be peaceful. That's why I like that you mentioned that. Like, it's not going to always be peaceful. It's going to be them rough patches. But when those rough patches happen, she gotta know, like, hey, it's rough, but hey, don't bother me right now while I'm working. Or if I say, hey, let's wait till later, you gonna wait till later. If not, that's how I operate. And that sounds harsh, but I think most men should operate like that. They should make a woman go, I don't want to them off because this gonna go way farther than I want it to. And that doesn't mean toxic. That means, all right, I want to come to him because I feel like he should have. Let me think of some shit me and my wife. We don't get into it. All right. When we watch movies and shit, I sometimes pay attention to like my team's chats from work, right? So she might go, I feel like when we spend time, you always on your phone. And this in the beginning. And I'm like, you know why we live the way we live, right? It's because I focus on work. I'm not trying not to spend time with you. It's just, hey, sometimes I get a text. But then I check myself and go, you know what? You did create this atmosphere that let me work when I work, and when I spend time with you, I'm going to make time for you. So I have to check myself. Like, you know what, bro? You done made this woman fall into place because women, especially women that don't have to work and be a stay-at-home mom, they feel like and I work from home. They feel like they got access to you all the time. So I created a balance of let's spend time at this time, and then when you spend time at this time, you're still on your phone. So I had to check myself. Like, all right, that's why I said become that guy. Become that guy. And when you become that guy, you know how to make better decisions. You know what? She right. I definitely told her, like, I can't always be freaking watching movies and shows, but I gave her these 3 or 4 hours of my time. This sounds crazy, but I gave her these 3 or 4 hours of my time, and I'm still on my phone. Let me unplug for work. So that's what I mean by making the best decision as a leader and removing your personal feelings and go, you know what, she right. And directing the whole situation. And that's how you know you with the woman that's for you, is if you can direct it and adjust to your own direction. Because I fell short of that. Like, I made a direction and was like, hey, hold on. I still need to reply to this message. Right. But then I'm like, I did tell her that don't bother me doing work. So
and I think like men, and I want to be very clear because it's a lot of information in here. It's a lot of different caveats, but I want to kind of hark when we say your highest self. I want you to get away from the mind frame of right versus wrong and what's necessary. What's necessary, and I know that it's gonna feel like sometimes that you are on an island by yourself, and it's because you are. You can't ask for the crown and then complain about how much it weighs. You got to make decisions that are absent of how you feel and focuses on what is necessary for your family. And this is why earlier when we talked about businessmen recognizing that, because you practice that when you do business. I don't just take jobs because I really like the people. If I got a speaking engagement at a school that I grew up with, there's a personal connection, and they willing to give me $1,000. And then the other school over here, they like, hey man, we seen you raise the fees, we willing to give you this for. I can want to go do that all I want based off of my emotions, but I still got to look at the books. I still got to look at what we spent. There's a lot of other decisions. Now I might be able to do both of them, but when I make a decision, it's not going to be just based off of how I feel right now. When we talk about operating at your highest self, it requires you to allow yourself to be in alignment with what's necessary. Not with what feel good, not with what somebody else might be doing because you've seen a slide or a reel or something online. What needs to happen in your household? Men who navigate that way can be trusted with so much more.
You got to add in the men that go, my wife, my wife, my wife. That is the biggest turnoff.
Okay.
Yeah, man. I'll expand what I mean by that. You can't make a decision without saying, oh, yeah, I got to check with my wife. That is horrible.
Talk to him. I want you to go deeper in that because I feel like that popped in your head for a reason. So I'm going to get out the way. Talk to him. What do you mean?
Well, we can go to the smallest joint, right? I like to wear, like back when I was working in an office, right?
Okay.
It strike me wrong when men see, like, my shoes, right? And I'd be like, oh man, he'd be like, oh yeah, I like them, man. Them are nice. I'm like, yeah, man, I paid $199 for these at Burlington, or I paid $199 for these at Nordstrom. Oh man, my wife would never let me do that. But then next week, man, she keeps spending the money on it. My wife just got a Louis bag, and it's like, man, I'm like, hey, wait, your wife, what? So fast forward, now that I'm higher level in my career, and it's like, you hear guys, we're on a podcast. They all make 6-figure plus. So when you hear, oh man, I like your setup. Like people see my setup. Like I quickly learned that most people don't have my setup. Like man, my wife would never let me have that setup. So I'm thinking like, so how the do you perform this job at? That's why I outperform all y'all. I have a great setup. Or if it's not my wife wants to redo the kitchen. Do your wife not know that she only can redo the kitchen because of the work you do? Yep. So the most important joint is making sure your workspace is right, so you can be able to maximize your money. Yep. So I say that to say, like, man, as a man, when men do that, I look at that and go like, yeah,
brother, grow up. I mean,
grow up. And on top of that, if I want to work for this company or if I want to do business, it's like, man, you're not making decisions based on a logical sense of things.
And I'm gonna take it a step further. It kind of like we be shooting direct. I'm gonna shoot direct with whoever listening and feel like we talking about them. You making decisions based out of fear. That ain't like, bro.
Yes.
Use it like we on the podcast. But to me to complain about. To me, to complain in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Like one of the things that I've learned, and granted, I'm not going to judge nobody because I had to get to a certain place before I accepted this reality. Mm-hmm. It's hard for me to now complain about things because I don't believe there's anything in my life that I can't impact or structure to what I need to have done. So when it's not going the way I want it to go, I just know I have work to do. Like, so for me.
Yes, that's why all being your thing.
It's like adopt a mentality that allows you to go deeper into what's necessary. Again, this ain't right or wrong. And that's where a lot of us get caught up. We don't feel the woman talking to us the right way. And now you mad and now you frustrated. And it's like, bro, if the mission, if the vision is he used a computer setup. If you need a certain setup in order to do what you need to do to provide for your home, and your woman is giving you a hard time about that, you go set a guideline, not, hey, maybe we can, you go tell her you're going to go get these things because it's necessary for your house. And listen, again, like we said earlier, bro, you being a man, you're not going to be liked with every necessary decision you make. But what you're not going to do is complain that I'm taking steps necessary for our family and get upset that I got to do them because you don't like them. And I'm not going to have an argument with that. But one of the things that I like that you've talked about throughout this podcast is the understanding that, hey, I'm doing what's necessary, not what I like, not what she like, what's necessary. So look, hey, I know you feel away. I'm making a plan to make sure I call her at a specific time. I might
tell the truth though.
And
your brain, you don't want to be away from your woman for 2 or 3 days.
And that's
like deep down. So that's why I like that you said it's outside of what I feel and what she feel.
Yeah, it ain't. I'm not throwing a party because I get to leave, because if I'm doing that, I probably don't need to be with you.
Right.
If it's like, oh, I get an escape, like that's not what it is. But it is an understanding of I'm building a brand, I'm building a business. There's different elements that got to come. And here's the thing. Your woman loves you so much that if you could just stay at the house and spend time with her, she would be okay with that. But you know what's going to make the love difficult is when you can't afford none of that stuff at the house too. Right. So it's like, again, when I'm making the decision to do what's necessary, it's not about not missing my woman. It's not about if you don't do what I say, F you. I'm not, all right, listen, I'm grown.
Now, you said my woman, right?
Yeah.
It's very alarming if your woman don't want to always be around you.
Oh, for sure. That's weird.
And isn't scared for you to be away from her past 1 hour.
That's weird. You got to come up with some solutions.
I noticed with my wife, like I got up to an hour after that. She missed me. That's not to say like be a slave to it.
Right.
I like that. Like as a man, that like you should. That goes back to I'm that joint.
Yeah.
Make it like I'm not. Like, hey, I know for a all these other bitches. I don't care what they think. I know for a fact I got a woman that can't stand to be away from me for more than an hour. To me, that's raw.
Yep.
Like you should want that. Like, hey man, let me go ahead and do my best so I can get up out here the quickest and go back to my woman.
That's all it is. That's all it is. And this go back to what he was talking about earlier, man. Just stop aligning yourself with women stop settling for what's available. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
One of the things that one of my mentors told me, and when he first told me this, I ain't even really all the way understand it if I'm being completely honest. He said, but when you vet a woman, he said, look at, of course, how she treat you now in regards to respect, but pay attention to who you plan on being 5 years from now. Is that woman compatible with that man? Right. And if that woman is not compatible with that man, you need to make some different adjustments.
Even if you want to figure yourself out, but hey, I don't even know myself right now. I'm not just good enough. You're a great woman, and you can be full blown lying.
Yeah.
Get away.
Just get away. Because I'm telling you, once you like, and I've done this before. I'm guilty of this. Once you start trying to convince any person of your greatness, you've already lost.
I've been there too. Yeah,
You've already lost. So you like, man, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Bro, all of that can be true. All of that can be true. But would you rather have the woman who sees that and commits to your vision and respects who you are, or the woman that you have to talk into a certain behavior? Because if you talked her into a behavior, there can be a situation or a person that can talk her out of it. I don't recommend it.
Well, I got two perspectives to that. Be with a woman that recognizes it, but also, if she's not a woman that can recognize it, be with a woman that you can teach. I would recommend a woman that you can teach. Because the woman that you can teach, oh man, it's beautiful. The woman that you can guide. No, I take away teach. The woman that you can guide. Teach too though. Never mind.
Listen, I was about to say I don't think nothing wrong with teach, but I want to ask you because you went there. So look, check this out. It's a lot of discussion. It's a lot of discussion about older men and younger women. You with that younger woman because you can't handle the older one. You can't.
Can we please talk about that? All right.
You can't tell her what to do.
I'm gonna let you start it off because I don't want to overshadow with my.
Hey, jump right into it. I want to know what your perspective. I got my perspective on it, but I want to know what do you think about this conversation that older men are almost in a predatory fashion targeting younger women because we can have more control or influence over what they got to say? And is that control or influence and seeking that even a problem?
All right. So remember when I told you before 2020, I ain't know nothing about this gender war, the standard. And so before then, I didn't have like this list. Mm-hmm. But I didn't just date anybody. Okay. I only had 2 joints. You got to be intelligent and slim. That was it, right?
Okay.
Which it headed me down it got me with some situations where that wasn't for me. Because it's like, a woman can be intelligent, slim, and toxic. Mm-hmm. And also awaken some shit in you that you've been trying to get rid of. So I'm not going to talk about that part.
Okay.
So I say that to say, I've never in my mind said I want a younger woman. I never said none of that, right? I date whoever I come across. That sounds crazy. Yay, yo. But hold on. Yo, hey, you gotta pump the brakes. Hey, you gotta pump the brakes. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay. All right.
You still gotta be slim.
We're gonna take that out. We're gonna take that out.
No, you can keep it in. Because you still gotta be slim and intelligent.
Right.
Slim and intelligent skims off a lot of shit. Like, meaning that all jokes aside, I've never been with a ratchet woman. This sounds crazy. This sounds crazy. This sounds crazy as because those two things was intelligent and slim. Never been with a big woman. As far as adult, I only had 3 adult relationships. That's my wife. No, I had 4. That's my wife, my 2 kids' moms, and the one girl I was with in college. Everything else was teenage. So I only can count it on, and this don't count all of the single stuff. The single stuff is single stuff. I won't talk about it because single stuff is single stuff. If you get my drift.
I got you.
But my standard for a relationship is different from single stuff. Even in my single stuff, it was still slim. So we're not about to do that. It's just single stuff. You don't have to be intelligent. You ain't my girlfriend anyway.
I got you.
But I've never been with nobody ratchet, whether it was single or not. So I said it to say, when I look at relationship, I look at it as how can she be a mother to my child? Off rip. I know what happens with sex because what my mom taught me as a fuck kid. You have sex, you're gonna have a disease, or you're gonna have a kid. I say, you know what? The disease part ain't got shit to do with me because I'm using condoms. But then I realized when I fall in love, I take the condom off. So I need to make a decision. I said, but decision. I need to make a decision past when I. That's why I said I hate basing stuff off me because like I said, I'm an observer. I realized, knock them cheeks loose. We're gonna take them condoms off. Oh shit, we can have a kid, like my mama said. So fast forward, I learned to pick what at a very young age. When it comes to a girlfriend, I'm not taking the condom off unless I think she's gonna be the mother of my child, literally. And this might sound like a lie. It's no lie. I had a kid at 24 years old. And it wasn't planned, but it was somewhat strategic because it's like, oh, I like her. It was still childish. I like her. We love each other. So I think she might want to be a mom of my kid joint. So that's still immature. What I'm saying is, when it comes to choosing women, it's based off of, fast forward, I'm grown, I'm mature, I learned my lessons. Can I picture this woman being a good woman to my kids?
And everything that we said, and you done gave a lot of gems and a lot of information. I want to ask you this though. If you had to summarize everything that we talked to, everything that we've went through, 3 words, and this is important, it can only be 3 words. 3 words that men should live by in bettering or reaching their higher selves as men. I need 3 of them. And I'm going to ask you about the 3 you give. But I need 3 words. 3 words that should define that space that they in as they on that betterment for them higher selves. Go. Let me hear it.
Discipline, control, and observation.
Discipline, control, and observation. Can you be a man operating on your highest self and not have one of those 3?
You can't. Those all 3 simultaneously gotta work together. You can't have discipline if you don't have control. You can't have control or observation if observation, control, and discipline. You can't have one without another, is basically what I'm saying. So like you literally can't be disciplined if you're not paying attention. And you literally can't have control if you don't have discipline. And you can't have discipline if you don't have control. But you also can't have neither of the 2 if you're not observant. And that's how I live my life for everything.
You feel like you said earlier that you've been observant, and that was something that you've had to kind of see. That's a thing that kind of helped propel you to this point. You've always been able to observe and watch.
That's my superpower.
For the man that's working on observation, what advice would you give him?
Meditate, for one. Meditation teaches you how to shut your thinking down. So you might be saying, hey, you on some super woke shit. No, I'm not. It took me a long time to learn how to observe. Like, I've always been observative, right? Meaning I always pay attention. That's just being aware. To be observative is beyond awareness. Observative or observation means I release my own personal feelings, my own personal thoughts, and I take whatever I see for whatever it is, and then I make a decision in the middle, meaning that it doesn't benefit me, but it also didn't benefit them. But I'm gonna make it seem like it benefit both of us because it's in the middle. So when I say, if I'm talking to a guy and he go like, bro, what you mean? It means learn how to sit down with yourself and shut everything off. Meditate. Meditate doesn't mean, oh, kumbaya, uwe, Allahu Akbar, none of that. It literally just means I sit there, eyes closed, eyes open, whether it's an argument, whether it's a conversation, or whether I'm by myself. It starts little. I take 5 seconds, 10 seconds to go, all right, I don't like what they're saying, or I don't like where this is going, or I feel like I should say this. Pause. Don't close your eyes. Let's say you don't have to kumbaya. Sit there, pause, observe. And I bet when you do that, it changes your perspective in a 180. Oh, that's not what she's saying. Oh, that's not what he meant. Mm-hmm. I was about to be offended for no reason. Mm-hmm. Or, oh, I need to say this because if I would have said that, it would have turned left. Or, oh, I'll look better as a person, or I'm tapping more into my higher version if I would have said it this way. What it looks like in the long term is more than the 10-second and 5-second joint. Being able to sit for 5 minutes in silence with no thoughts. What that means is acknowledging I'm not this physical body. I'm not my brain. I'm not my arms. I'm not my legs. I'm not my emotions. I'm about to sit here and I got all these thoughts running through. Whatever those thoughts are, I'm saying shut up. Literally, shut up. However you talk, you might be pristine and prestigious. Be quiet. However you talk, or if you ghetto, shut up. Silence your mind. And silence your mind. And the moment you silence your mind, I control this. I'm not really what they think I am. I'm not really who I think I am. I'm not really this body. I'm not really none of this. And then you will make better decisions if you go from 10 seconds to 3 minutes to 5 minutes. And then you incorporate 10-minute meditation where you incorporate and brain free. Like, it's just keep expanding. That first 10 seconds give you more control than you ever had in your life, is when you can shut up in the middle of chaos. She talking crazy to you, or your boss says some shit you don't like, and you literally just take 10 seconds to go, oh, I don't like what the going on right now, but I don't want them to view me any less than how I view myself. And you might be thinking, bro, like, I don't even view myself in high regards. Cool. All right. I want to view myself in a better perspective, so let me be quiet until I do that. I ain't got nothing to say. Oh, Darquez, you don't speak up in meetings anymore. In your head, I don't think highly of myself, and I want to wait until I do. Oh, you don't, anytime we argue, you don't never got shit to say. Nope, because I don't think highly of myself. And you say this in your head. I don't think highly of myself right now, so I ain't saying shit until I do. And that literally takes 10 seconds. 10 seconds. And then it turns into 3 and 5 minutes of saying, hey, I need to get away from her, or I need to get away from this. Unplug from life and go, yeah, I'm busy with work. Yeah, I'm busy with whatever going on. I need 5 minutes to myself. And sit in silence. Don't be on no kumbaya. 10 minutes, oh, I don't want to be weird and close my eyes. Just sit there and let your thoughts race and judge them. Judge every thought.
I call this higher intellectual math. You're going to understand why. I'm going to give you a problem, and I want you to give a solution. This is the free range. This is the you do what you do. Here is your math problem. Mm-hmm. Discipline costs you what?
For one, it's free, but discipline can cost you your life and your freedom if you don't figure out how to make sure it's free.
Mm-hmm. How you make sure it's free?
Controlling your thinking and controlling your emotions. That's when it's free. Meaning that I won't say certain shit to knock me out of my position, or I won't do certain shit that's going to get me arrested. It's free. You free You had your freedom of speech. You could talk how you want to talk. Because like a lot of people don't know that being assertive and being that macho person or masculine person takes a lot of discipline, and you are a lot more respected and accepted when you got a lot of discipline. He said exactly what he wanted to say without yelling and cussing. Your woman gonna respect it better. Your boss, I don't believe in boss. Your supervisor or your employees gonna respect it better. All right, and it costs you a lot if you don't know how to control yourself and you're not observative, right? So this is where discipline costs you. You're not observing. It's 2 a.m. He the security guard, or he the police, or she a woman, she drunk. And if you're not disciplined or in control of your feelings, you're gonna argue. Or you ain't about to. Now who in jail?
Right.
Or who just swung on somebody? And let's say this got a gun. Or let's say he got more hands than you. He just went up all upside your head. Or let's say you went all upside his head. And now he like, oh yeah, I might not say nothing right now, but I'm going to get him later. Mm-hmm. So that's where discipline costs you, is when you don't control yourself and go, you know what? Tension's high right now, or whatever the situation is. I'm in an interview. He said he was a little disrespectful, but at the end of the day, either this ain't the job, or I really want to work for her, and he's just a pea in the pod. He's just a recruiter, because any CEO or any real live supervisor ain't gonna talk like that. So he's just a recruiter, and she's just an HR. And I know y'all need me. So that's what I mean. That's the cost difference between the having discipline and the lack of discipline. It can f your life up, or it can make your life if you have control and discipline yourself in the right ways.
So y'all hear it. That's the math. I appreciate you breaking that down. I think it's gonna be important that in this episode we understand. And I think discipline is important. But listen, before we wrap this up, I want you to leave the listeners, viewers, and shout out to everybody that's been supporting on YouTube, Spotify, watching videos, sharing, subscribing. Thank you for that. I want you to leave the viewers with an inspiring message about growth, resilience, right? And the importance of relationships. 60 seconds, 1 minute. Give them the game.
I'm very connected and in tune with who we are as people, so I love everybody. So however I talk, however the message come across is out of love, and I want us all to thrive. In order for us to thrive, in order for us to be successful and be who we need to be in this world, the most important thing is being your most highest version, no matter what. No matter what your parents think, no matter what society say a man's supposed to be. You know when you look in the mirror what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with, whether you're a woman or a man, and don't accept nothing less. How do you not accept nothing less? Become your best version. Become undeniable. Point blank period. Emotionally, physically, spiritually, and financially. You're undeniable. Second to that, having a spiritual basis, meaning whether, I'm not into religion, but whatever your spiritual basis is, be confident into that, and make sure can nobody guide you away from that. And 3 is creating a strong nuclear family basis between a man and a woman. I'm not against anybody outside of the man and woman aspect, but create a strong family foundation, because throughout history, whether we talk about Tulsa, whether we talk about the many different black strong communities in Maryland, in New Jersey, in New York, they're all based on any success black people or any family have in this country, which is why all these gender wars, all this separation and division, which is pretty much the same thing, is happening, because everybody know everything is based off having a family. And you work and operate differently when you have a family or a woman you committed to. Point blank period, hands down. And I experienced every part of life to tell you that it's true. You're not going to get too far. There's millionaires that are single, but it's small compared to the 80% of millionaires that are married, or the 80% of millionaires and billionaires that are committed. And you got to look at that and go, oh, okay, they're married. Oh, okay, they're observative and they're strict and they're strategic. They're disciplined. They're controlled. And however they are, and they're being their highest virgins, no matter what. So,
listen, y'all. I want to say this to everybody that's witnessed this moment and that was able to be a part of it, and maybe got some questions answered along the way. I want you to look at your life like a book, right? On the cover, there's this big picture of you. There's this phrase that's going to accomplish your life. You decide what that phrase is. Every chapter, every word, remember, you're writing that. You're writing your history. From the people that you spend time with, to the places that you allow yourself to go to, even the ideas that you align with as you develop as men and women. You control the dynamic. You can shape anything. There's no such thing as having to live under an environment. It don't matter what people said. Hey, I'm not even telling you gotta be whoever it was you were years ago. What I'm telling you is, when you lock in, when you say it's gonna be this way because I'm gonna make it this way, your life will reflect the commitment and the discipline that you have to that thing. So instead of looking at life and wondering why it doesn't look the way you want it to, figure out what you need to do to make it look the way it needs to. I love you. I support you. I appreciate you. This has been Season 1, Episode 5 of the Lions H3art Podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, share it to everybody you know. Don't just keep it to yourself. We love y'all. We want y'all to be great. Until next time, peace.
Peace.